Ethiopia, the only African country that successfully evaded colonial powers, is currently one of the most beautiful and developed countries in Africa. Should Africa decide to unite today and form a single country, Ethiopia would likely be its capital city because it currently hosts several political offices, including the African Union headquarters and international NGOs. Before we tell you more about what it means to live in Ethiopia, let's tell you a little bit about the country. Ethiopia is a country located in the Horn of Africa, bordered by Eritrea to the north, Djibouti to the northeast, Somalia to the east, Kenya to the south, and Sudan and South Sudan to the west. It has a population of over 110 million people, making it the second most populous country in Africa after Nigeria. Ethiopia has a rich history and culture, with archaeological evidence suggesting that humans have lived in the region for thousands of years. The country was home to one of the world's oldest civilizations, the Kingdom of Aksum, which flourished from the 1st to the 7th century AD and was known for its advanced civilization, including its use of a written script and the construction of impressive stone monuments. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, Ethiopia was ruled by a series of emperors, including Haile Selassie, who was deposed in a military coup in 1974. The subsequent government, known as the Derg, ruled the country until 1991, when it was overthrown by a coalition of rebel forces known as the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, EPRDF. Since then, Ethiopia has been governed by the EPRDF and its successor, the Prosperity Party, which won a landslide victory in the 2019 elections. The country has made significant progress in areas such as economic development, education, and healthcare in recent decades, although it still faces significant challenges, including poverty, food insecurity, and political unrest. One of Ethiopia's most notable features is its diverse population, which includes dozens of different ethnic groups, each with its language and culture. The country is also home to several important religious sites, including Lalibela, a UNESCO World Heritage Site known for its rock-hewn churches, and the Blue Nile Falls, a spectacular waterfall located in the country's northwest. Now that you know a little bit about Ethiopia, let's tell you about life in Ethiopia and some fun facts you didn't know about Ethiopia. 1. The standard of living is very low in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is one of the poorest countries in the world, with a per capita income of around $1,422 as of 2023, according to the World Bank. The country faces several challenges in terms of providing basic services and improving the standard of living for its population. Poverty remains a major issue in Ethiopia, with around 24% of the population living below the national poverty line in 2019. This has a significant impact on access to necessities such as food, water, and healthcare. Access to healthcare is limited in Ethiopia, particularly in rural areas where many people live. The country has a shortage of healthcare workers, and many facilities lack basic equipment and medicines. This can make it difficult for people to receive the care they need, particularly for chronic conditions such as HIV and AIDS. 2. Education in Ethiopia is a major challenge due to the country's high poverty rates, lack of resources, and limited infrastructure. While primary education is free and compulsory, many children in Ethiopia do not attend school, particularly in rural areas. There is also a shortage of trained teachers, and the quality of education is often poor. The country has made some progress in recent years, with improvements in access to education and efforts to increase enrollment rates, particularly for girls. However, the education system in Ethiopia still faces significant challenges, including inadequate funding, a shortage of textbooks and other learning materials, and limited access to technology. Despite these challenges, education is seen as a key factor in addressing poverty and promoting economic development in Ethiopia, and the government has made efforts to improve the education system, such as through teacher training programs and investments in infrastructure. 3. Marriage customs in Ethiopia vary depending on the ethnic group and region. In general, however, Traditional Ethiopian marriages are often arranged by the families of the bride and groom. The groom's family will typically send representatives to the bride's family to negotiate the marriage, including the bride price, which is a payment made by the groom's family to the bride's family. The wedding ceremony itself is often a festive occasion, with music, dancing, and feasting. In some regions, it may involve the exchange of gifts between the families and the participation of religious leaders. Modern, urban weddings in Ethiopia may follow Western-style customs, such as engagement rings and a white wedding dress. 4. Ethiopians are considered to be amongst the leanest people on earth. Obesity rates in Ethiopia are generally lower than in many developed countries, with a 2016 study indicating that the prevalence of obesity among adults in Ethiopia was around 3%, compared to nearly 40% in the United States. However, many argue that this may be due in part to factors such as poverty and limited access to high-calorie foods, rather than genetic or cultural factors. 5. Ethiopia has its unique time system, which is different from the internationally recognized Gregorian calendar. The Ethiopian time system is based on the Julian calendar and is 7 years and 8 months behind the Gregorian calendar. This means that the current year in Ethiopia, as of 2023, is 2014 in the Ethiopian calendar. In addition, the Ethiopian time system divides the day into 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness, with the start of the day at sunrise, which is considered to be 1 o'clock in the morning, and the start of the night at sunset, which is considered to be 1 o'clock in the evening. This means that the Ethiopian time is 6 hours behind the International Standard Time, with the day beginning at what would be considered 6 o'clock in the morning, according to the International Time System. The Ethiopian time system is used throughout the country and is also recognized by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which follows its liturgical calendar. 6. Ethiopia is a country with a rich cultural heritage and a diverse population, and as a result, it is home to a wide variety of festivals and celebrations throughout the year. These festivals are often religious in nature and reflect the country's long history of Christianity and Islam, as well as traditional beliefs and customs. Some of the most notable festivals in Ethiopia include Timkit, also known as Epiphany, which celebrates the baptism of Jesus and is marked by colorful processions and water blessings, and Meskel, which commemorates the discovery of the true cross and involves the lighting of bonfires and the singing of hymns. Other festivals include Enklutatash, the Ethiopian New Year, the Ethiopian Easter, and the celebration of the Prophet Muhammad's birthday. 7. Ethiopia is widely regarded as the birthplace of coffee, with the country's highlands being home to thousands of coffee varieties that grow wild in the region. According to legend, the discovery of coffee dates back to the 9th century, when a goat herder named Kaldi noticed that his goats became more energetic after eating the berries of a certain plant. Kaldi tried the berries himself and found that they had a stimulating effect. Over time, the practice of brewing coffee spread throughout Ethiopia and beyond, with coffee becoming an important part of many cultures worldwide. Today, Ethiopia is known for producing high-quality coffee beans that are prized by coffee lovers around the world. 8. Ethiopia is home to the lowest point in Africa, the Danakil Depression. The Danakil Depression is a geological depression located in northeastern Ethiopia, near the border with Eritrea and Djibouti. It is one of the hottest and driest places on Earth, with temperatures regularly exceeding 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The area is characterized by a landscape of salt flats, hot springs, sulfur vents, and volcanic cones. It is also home to several unique geological formations, including the Dalol sulfur springs, which are known for their vibrant colors and otherworldly appearance. Despite its extreme conditions, the Danakil Depression is home to several plant and animal species, including several species of bird and reptile. 9. Ethiopian Emperor Menelik II was the first African to drive a car. Menelik II was the Ethiopia's emperor between 1889 and his death in 1913. He introduced modernization and promoted many notable reforms in Ethiopia, like building bridges and modern roads, establishing a postal system, and erecting telegraph lines. A railroad was begun that eventually linked Addis Ababa with the port of Djibouti, and electricity was introduced to Addis Ababa, as well as modern plumbing. By 1907, motor cars were taking to the roads in Europe, and as he strengthened Ethiopia's diplomatic relations with European powers, Menelik became interested in a car. Soon an 18-horsepower vehicle was shipped to Djibouti and driven through the mountains and desert to Addis Ababa for his use. 10. Ethiopian cuisine is known for its unique flavors, diverse ingredients, and communal dining traditions. The cuisine is characterized by its use of spices, including berbere and mitmita, and the soda flatbread called injera. Diners tear off pieces of injera and use them to scoop up stews and other dishes, which are often served family-style on a large platter. Meat dishes such as wat and tips are popular, as are vegetarian and vegan options such as shiro and miso wat. Ethiopian coffee and honey wine or tej are also popular beverages. Ethiopian cuisine is a reflection of the country's diverse cultural heritage and agricultural abundance. 11. Ethiopia has a strong history of participation in the Olympics, with the country first sending athletes to the Games in 1956. Ethiopia has won a total of 45 medals at the Summer Olympics, including 23 gold, 12 silver, and 10 bronze. Most of these medals have been in long-distance running events, with Ethiopian athletes often dominating in events such as the 5,000 meters and 10,000 meters. Some of Ethiopia's most famous Olympic athletes include Abebe Bikila, who won the marathon at the 1960 Olympics in Rome and the 1964 Olympics in Tokyo, and Haile Selassie, who won 2 gold medals in the 10,000 meters and set multiple world records in his career. At the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo, Ethiopia sent a delegation of 31 athletes to compete in events such as athletics, swimming, and boxing. 12. Ethiopia was the first foreign country to accept Islam when it was still unknown in most parts of the world. Ethiopia also favored its expansion and making Islam present in the country since the times of Muhammad, 571 to 632. The country is said to have sheltered the Prophet Muhammad, his family, and his followers when they were being persecuted and killed by pagan Arabians. Today, about 35% of the population of Ethiopia is following Islam. The first Muslim call to prayer was done by an Ethiopian named Bilal ibn Rabah, and the Al-Najashi Mosque in northern Ethiopia was the first mosque that was built outside of Arabia. 13. Ethiopia was the first country in Africa to own and operate a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. In 2012, Ethiopia and its national carrier Ethiopian Airlines became the first country in Africa, and only the second in the world, to own and operate a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. The aircraft was named Africa 1 and assigned the tail number ETAOQ. Ethiopian Airlines is one of Africa's biggest airlines and generally has a good safety record. At the time, they bought 10 of Boeing's flagship aircraft, which are built from lightweight material rather than aluminum, to save fuel. 14. Ethiopia has the most orphans in the world. Of the more than 145 million orphans worldwide, more live in Ethiopia than in any other country in the world. About 13% of Ethiopian children are missing one or both parents. Nearly a quarter of these parents have lost their lives in the AIDS epidemic. 15. Ethiopia was ranked as one of the poorest countries in the world, but has shown miraculous growth over the last few years. In 2006, Ethiopia ranked 170 out of 177 of the poorest countries on the Human Development Index, with 50% of its population living in poverty and 80% living on the breadline. In 2000, it was the third poorest country in the world, but IMF estimates show that Ethiopia was the third fastest growing country of those with 10 million or more people in the world between 2000 and 2016, according to GDP per capita. The country's poverty rate fell to 31% by 2011, and it was projected that Ethiopian GDP per capita would expand at an annual pace of 6.2% through to 2022. For sticking with right to the end, here is a bonus point. Over half of Africa's mountains are in Ethiopia. Along with Ethiopia's incredible cultural and historical significance, the natural beauty is in a league of its own. In addition to a gorgeous landscape of low deserts and volcanic plateaus, Ethiopia is incredibly mountainous. Around 70% of Africa's mountains are in Ethiopia.